Good morning. Dyno day is Friday, today is Wednesday, and we've kind of left things in Bluetooth mode. Bluetooth wastegate lines with Bluetooth fuel line going to the nitrous. So obviously the biggest concern today is going to be getting the wastegate line hooked up, which means I have to clock some of these wastegates so they don't look super dumb. And we're actually going to be going to AFR AutoWorks for the dyno. Adam's going to help us out. He's always helped us out in the past, and it's going to be super awesome fun. And remember to check out the merch store or Black Sheep Industries. $1 gets you one entry to our welder that we're going to be giving away. Alrighty, to dig into it here, we actually have CO2 boost control set up, which this went to our old valves. And our two Mac valves are actually down here behind the tank, which in hindsight is not going to be fun because getting the lines down there. But we've got to somehow make two Mac valves control 4 gates. So we're going to need a bunch of these brass fittings, which I don't think I have a ton of here. Shaving my pubes off so the ladies love me. Old BSI gate, new BSI gate. Look how much cooler it is. All right, now to be super transparent here, I don't know if Nick wants me to talk about it, but as you guys know, I'm part owner of BSI now, and I'm gonna do what I want.
I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious.
Old wastegate versus new wastegate. These were supposed to be on the website probably a couple weeks ago. However, we did run into an issue, and I'm gonna be super transparent here because I think you guys might enjoy the behind the scenes of the business. So as you can tell, it's an O-ringed wastegate, which is cool because there's no risk of breaking the diaphragm like in other wastegates. The problem has been the O-ring manufacturer has a tolerance of 30 thousandths plus or minus. So, for example, there could be 30 thousandths different between one batch O-rings and the next batch O-rings. And since every wastegate that goes out gets quality controlled, we've noticed that there's been an issue with it, so instead of trying to just band-aid the issue, we've been working on a permanent solution to the issue, and we've got it figured out. So the wastegate should be in stock by the end of this month, early next month. So we're just taking it apart to clock some things and make sure that we have the same springs in all 4 gates. So yeah, we had red spring in this one, and there was a blue spring, so we had to switch to a red spring, which means there's a blue spring in this one because the other red spring is here, there. I had to disassemble this gate to turn the bottom port. Unfortunately, there's this little tiny snap ring that I can't get to slide over that. And Nick has a special tool that he uses to put it on. So what I think I'm gonna do is to have fun. I'm gonna use our mini lathe here. I'm gonna cut a piece of stock, and I'm gonna try and make my own tool that pushes that ring on.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach.
I ended up popping the fuse because I'm an idiot and I was trying to drill it with our step bit because I don't really have a good set of drill bits that are big enough. And yeah, so I popped the fuse and I don't have another one on hand. I ended up just using a socket just to get that ring on. Essentially what this ring does is it's a really nice feature that I haven't seen in a lot of other gates, but there's tiny set screws in here that attach the piston here to the valve in the bottom. And what this little ring does is it captures those set screws so they can't back out and you can't drop your valve out, or you can't lose the set screws out of this. Because I've had them where the set screws fall out of this and they actually lay on top of the diaphragm, and then when the diaphragm moves up and down it rips the diaphragm. It actually happened to Tokyo's SRT once, and then you don't have boost control. I gotta go pick up some fittings, but something cool came in the mail. I gotta show you this. So Rob's car messaged me, and he told me to send him a photo of my car, and he drew us this. This is amazing. I'll link his socials down below, so if you're interested in getting something like this. But not only did he do this, he was like, I want to do something nice for Tokyo too. I was like, if you do Tokyo's car, you have to do this photo just because it's so, like, iconic. To us. So I think it's hilarious. I think Tokyo's gonna love it. I haven't shown it to him yet, but we'll get his reaction on video, hopefully after. So I've got Tokyo's truck today. It's out there running. I did get some more stuff in the mail today. First of all, we got this. So I got this. If you guys don't know, Wifey does a lot of streams on Twitch, and we're gonna build her a second PC here to just stream off of. so you don't tax the main computer by playing games and streaming at the same time. So we're going to build a cheap second computer here. If you guys have any old parts lying around that you want to put in it, let me know.
We also got these boxes.
Boom! These are our wheels for our little Leroy project here. So we have bigs and littles, or slicks and skinnies as people would call them. So these are 13-inch rears that we're going to be using. And these are 15-inch fronts. And I ordered some tires that are 22 inches tall for the back and front. So it's about a third the size of actual Leroy's. This is a 9 wide by 13, and then this is 3.5 wide by 15. And these are pretty popular in the Honda world for cheap drag tires. This would normally be on the front, and this would normally be on the rear. And there we go. We got a care pack from Mishimoto. Mishimoto has always helped out with the builds. This is for Thirst Trap, Virginia's car. We have the radiator fans, and intercooler cores. So I did something a little bit different here. They didn't have a specific core that I wanted, so I ordered 2 of these half-sided cores because I wanted a vertically flowing intercooler core, and they only had horizontally flowing in anything that's big size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld 2 vertically flowing cores together, and then that way I can build my own custom end tanks where we can put 2 pipes in the bottom. Wow! Good job, shithead! We can put 2 pipes in the bottom and then build a tank for 1 pipe at the top. And when you have the capability of building your own end tanks, you can build stuff that fits in the chassis, whereas you have to cut the chassis to fit the end tanks if you don't build them yourself. Pick up some hose, some fittings, actually some fuses for the lathe because we blew that one, and some coolant because there's only water in the block. I have to put coolant in it because it's going to be in a trailer overnight, and I don't want the block to crack. So we just take this, and just, you know. I thought that would work. I thought it would just. I guess I gotta do work now. We've got it done. It doesn't look the cleanest, but if you look here, we've got 2 lines here, 3 lines on this one. One is for a dome boost pressure sensor, which is down there. It's just a low-dollar motorsports sensor. And then the back here also has 2 lines, and then they're just zip tied to the cowl, so it's kind of out of the way. Now, essentially what happens is the top side is getting fed from our CO2 boost control, which is like the MAC valves down at the bottom. And the bottom side is getting fed by turbo pressure, which I'm getting from the intake manifold, which is going to be fine as well. But it's split off a couple times, and I'm just going to show you how it's split off because it's actually tucked like in here, and then there's a T down here, and there's a T in front here, and T's in the back. I just hope that we have enough flow to be able to flow enough pressure to the top side of those through all like the small lines, because we are splitting it off a couple times. But essentially how the Holley boost control works is you have a boost pressure here, which is from your CO2 bottle, and then you have one here, which is from your turbo. At the top here, you have 2 MAC valves. One's your fill valve, one's your dump valve. So CO2 pressure comes in here, and then uses the dump valve to regulate it. So both of these have their own input-output on the Holley, and they work independently but together. So each one of them will get their own duty cycle, which regulates this boost right here, which is what you want on the top side of the dome. Essentially it comes down, it tees off, and then it tees off again, and then it tees off again. So these ones control the top sides of all 4 wastegates, and then boost pressure tees off a couple times here, and it controls the bottom sides of the wastegates. So if you default the setting, you don't put anything to the top side of the wastegate. It's just going to use whatever the spring pressure is in the wastegate, which is like 5 pounds for us, I do believe. But we're going to control it by putting extra pressure on the top side of the wastegate. And because the CO2 bottle holds 700 psi of pressure, essentially you can put 700 psi on the top side of the dome. So it gives you unlimited ranges of boost. Whereas if you just use turbo pressure and spring pressure, you only get about 1 times your spring rate. So long story short, it lets you run as low as like 4 pounds of boost all the way up to 50 pounds of boost and anywhere in between. And you can regulate it through the ECU, which is way smarter than you are. Well, what I thought was an easy job, drain some of the water and put some coolant in, turns out it's not going to be so easy after all. This is M12 by 1.5, which is like a finer thread M12, which is odd. And conveniently, that's the one I'm missing, M12 by 1.5. Literally out of all of like the ones I'm missing, well, M8 as well, I guess, but that's the one I'm missing. Sick. It would happen like this the day before I have to get ready for the dyno. So like any good man would do, I have a 1.75 bolt, tons of these around, because this is the common size, M12 by 1.75. So we just jammed a 1.75 tap through it. We're just gonna swap over the little tiny sealing ring that was on the other one and just jam that bolt in it. So instead of having a nice Mishimoto bolt with like a magnet end on it, sorry Mishimoto, we're just gonna have a regular old ass bolt in there. Now here's our next design flaw on my behalf. The bottom of this can right here, it actually goes to the top of the radiator here, which isn't bad. And then these ones go to the motor. The only problem is now the air that's between the motor and the bottom of the radiator gets airlocked if I try to fill it from here. I have to pull off this top hose, fill it from the top hose, that way it fills from the motor side, and the air can escape the top of the radiator here through this upper hose and back into the can. Design flaws for days. Dun, dun. Yo, did that to AC/DC? I'm so rad. And normally I would never put coolant in this car, except we are trailering it and it is minus 10 degrees Celsius outside, and I do not want a cracked engine block while I'm driving. Don't judge me, I got Dex Cool, I just bought whatever was on sale. I'm sure I let too much water out because I stripped that bolt by accident while I was emptying it. Did I have like the perfect amount? No, still in the can, perfect. Oh, I can hear it gurgling down there. So there's still air in the system. We'll bleed that out when we load it tomorrow. Look how disgusting it is outside. We actually have the Legacy Auto Group trailer today. And that's because Colby's a baller, because my trailer is stuck out at the track and I can't get it unstuck because we got stuck trying to get it out. So he's like, yeah, just take mine. So Colby always be hooking us up. Shout out to Legacy Auto Group, data man. Alrighty, I have a serpentine belt here. I don't know how you really pronounce it, but it's one of those. This is for our alternator. If you guys remember last year at the track, I blew up my serpentine belt and it took out some of my wiring, and I think that's because this is a little bit off. This spacer would have been the right length if it wasn't going through the motor plate, but it is going through the motor plate. And I did grind it down a bit, but I don't think I ground it down enough. So I'm gonna pull our alternator off, and I have to make sure that both of our spacers right here and down here are the same width, including this 1/4 inch plate. So I got another fuse for our lathe, and I'm gonna put it on the lathe to make it the exact same length as the other one. Need gloves, it's all dirty. I have no clue what I'm doing. 2 amp, oh my God. Oh well, let's see if this works. There's only 2 amps compared to the 5 amp that was in there. 1.65, and it needs to be 1/4 inch less, so it needs to be 1.4, and it is 1.52. So our alternator was a little bit off. Nope, I blew that fuse now for sure. Of course, the 2 fuses I have were only 1 and 2 amps, and we need a 5 amp one, so yeah, we blew it. So I gotta try and pull this out and grind it down to there, basically with our belt sander probably. You know what I'm gonna do so I can get some weight on this thing? I'm just gonna put it in this. I'm gonna use the vise, upside down. It's probably a little warm now. What if I spray it with Windex? Oh yeah, it's steaming. That looks like more what it's supposed to be because of the motor plate. Well, the belt's back on, but I think the biggest problem here is watch the flex in this bracket when I... Yep. Temporary permanent for now. I do need like a tensioning system on that in order to make it work right, really. Now because we are using that CO2 boost and my CO2 bottle is actually completely empty, I'm gonna make a thing that will hook up to shop air, just for when we're in the dyno room there. And yeah, I'm just gonna drill a hole in here for 1/8 MPT and screw a push lock line into it. I forgot my mirror still busted. Let's just see if this thing is even gonna start for us right now. Well, that was a big bang. is in there, but holy jeez, is it miserable out today. I don't like any bit of this. This turbo will never be going back on my car. I have some news that's probably coming up here. Probably not too late in the future, but this turbo, not going back in the car. Look at all them chickens. Look at all them chickens. Well, that was very, very sad. It was like -4 degrees this morning, so I waited a bit in the day, not realizing that now it's -20 and it's miserable outside. So that was pretty horrible. I am just watching a little bit of Lights Out 12 while I edit. We are going to the dyno tomorrow. I'm going to upload this video tonight, so the dyno's tomorrow. I may go live from the dyno if we have enough interest in it. Tokyo's actually coming over here with more antifreeze to put inside the air to water intercooler. I completely forgot about it, and that's just water. And I don't want to break that, so we're going to put some coolant inside that, run through the pump and through the core. That way there's coolant in it, because it's getting to -25 Celsius overnight, which will definitely expand water when it freezes and crack stuff. Remember, deadline for entries on the welder, March 10th, and then that's it. So make sure you get your merch, peace easy, and get that V.